You know how we like to do. Give the kids a little something. Hey, oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, hello, hello, hello. So happy that you could join me. For all of you who don't know, I don't even know what day it is today, to be honest, and I unplugged my, hey Google, what day is it? For all of our Google viewers. For those of you who Google didn't tell you, today is July the 1st. My name is William Bryant Miles, but you can call me WBM, which means that this is what? Wake Up With WBM. I don't have shit to talk about today. That's a lie. I've always got stuff to talk about. So we're just going to have a good time. I have a little bit of something in my cocktail. As you can see, I'm giving you at home. I never know if I'm putting these on backwards. I don't know which side is the front. I got this from a very close friend. She left it at my house, which means it's mine. Tell me if you agree or disagree with that. If somebody leaves something at your house, is it yours? Right? At that point, does it belong to you now? But today's look we're going to go for, this is like, I'm going to bed. So I saw something that somebody posted on their Instagram story, and it was a girl, and she was like, hell, I don't know what to do because I got, my man never seen me with a bonnet on. She was like, what I normally do is I try to put on like a cute headscarf, and then I get in the bed, and then I just go ahead and like, wake up a little bit before he does, and make my hair look cute. And first of all, I just didn't know people thought like that. Like, I gotta give her props because that seems like a lot of energy that I just don't have, and maybe that's why I don't have a man. I don't know. I imagine it's also probably a little different for boys, gay or otherwise. But I just couldn't imagine, having to do all of that to go to bed. So that's what today's look is going to be. It's a nighttime. I have a man, a gentleman caller coming over, and so I'm going to just give a nice, soft, dewy look before I lay in the bed and fuck up his sheets, or my sheets, because they're white. Which I have just discovered, I mean, it's not anything new to discover, but I've just recently gotten into white sheets, and I just really don't want to go back, but I just don't know, like, this time of year, is it appropriate to like white sheets? Because aside from them being white and that being a problematic state of being at this time, or perhaps a challenging and challenged state of being at this time, white sheets mean something else as well, right? You make hoods and KKK fashions out of white sheets. So I don't know what to do because I do enjoy a crisp white sheet. Also, I just wonder, how often have you guys, I asked this before, but how often have you been changing your sheets? And I'm not saying this because I think that you guys are dirty, because I don't. But I do recognize that with the passage of time right now being completely arbitrary and it being really hard to determine one day from the next, that you may not even realize that a week has passed. And I do know that some of y'all are not showering as frequently as you once were. You're not showering. I know you're not. Just call a thing a thing. If you were showering daily. Because some of you, this is the thing that nobody wants to talk about, right? Some of y'all were not showering daily before this corona. I smelled y'all. I've hung out with y'all. I've seen you around. I know that I've been to the gym where you just left, you just did a wipe down and then went out and hung out with your friends. So I know that if that wasn't enough to motivate you to take a shower daily, a little bit of Rona, and staying in the house by your damn self is not going to motivate you to stay in the house daily. So I just wonder, if you're not taking a shower daily, how often are you changing your sheets? You know what I mean? Like, let's just call a thing a thing. And so I just want to remind you that, you know what, maybe this will be a good reminder that every time I'm on the live, because I'm only doing it once a week, Wednesdays at 7, every time I'm on the live, you change your sheets. I think that's something that maybe we could all commit to. So I'll change mine when I get off here. And then the beauty of them being white is what I was saying is that, you know, they tell all your secrets, which is good. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got a little bit of sun. I've been out playing on the tennis court, playing with the folks. And I'm a little darker now, so we'll see how much more this foundation matches or doesn't match. So yeah, so that's what I got with that. So the BET Awards happened. The last time somebody told me I was using too much makeup. I think they just hate it, but we'll see. The BET Awards happened, and I have to say, I am really happy. Not with this foundation color. I just love that this is so just what happens every day now. We just are used to it. But I'm really happy that BET was the one to I think they were the first, because I don't know what's happening over at CMT and, you know, all the other networks that I don't watch. But I think they were the... What is that? You ever had, like... What is that? Oh my gosh. I guess it was hair. As far as I know, they were like the first award show to be like, we're still going to press on. And so it's not surprising to me that black folk were doing it. But I was very... happy that they did. You know, was it perfect? No. Are the BET Awards ever perfect? No. Is any award show perfect? No, because I haven't yet produced one. But I appreciated that they were committed to being like, you know what, we're going to figure out how to make this work. And I felt like the way that they tried to make this work was actually a pretty valid problem solve. Like, I felt like they gave us a you can hear all of New York City. I'm sorry that your internet is trash, Kiwi. I have a nipple ring for those of you I didn't know, and it doesn't love this top, it seems. I appreciated that they were willing to actually try, that they were like creating something in earnest. And I think that where so many things are falling apart. Like right now, for all of you that don't know, I'm a theater baby. My background is in the theater, blah, blah, blah. The theater is trash right now. It is just a hot mess. I feel like doing a play reading on Zoom is just not it. Like, not when you have budgets and staff, you know what I mean? Like, and we'll come back to that at another time, but I appreciated that BET was like, we still got budget, you know, we can still sell some commercials, so let's actually try to do something. And so they had the people performing in pods. I didn't watch the whole thing. I have to be honest, since the corona hit, my attention span is just awful. It is not there. I cannot focus on anything for more than maybe 45 minutes. If we get through this show, I'm proud of myself. Because I don't know if it's because I'm just like tired of being in the house, so I have to move around to like overstimulate myself or what. This actually doesn't look that bad. Tap like if you think it doesn't look that bad. Excuse me. Oh my God. Ow. It's like literally catching in all the threads of this shirt. That's an overshare, but I'm here to keep it honest with you kids. So I appreciated that they were doing something. To me, the highlights, there were highlights and there were lowlights. So, and then there were some things in the middle. I didn't watch the whole thing because, like I said, I can't pay attention to anything or even keep up with what the fuck it was I was talking about. Do we want to start with highlights? Let's start with the lowlights and end on a good note. So, things that I didn't think worked, right? And I think BET knew that this didn't work either. Was the actual awards portion, right? So that like Naomi Campbell introducing an award, you know, I mean, Naomi Campbell is fabulous, and Miss Campbell has done really well with the what's it called, with technology and the internet and stuff. So she was fine, and I thought that, you know, but what didn't work for me was like the acceptance speeches. They just don't feel very, you know, there's something visceral about even a taped award show was happening live for the people there, and you know, we always hate that person that's like, I would love to have been there with you guys, but I wasn't able to make it, so I want to thank this, because it's like, you know, their speeches, they're not there's, like I said, there's no visceralness. Who knows how many takes there were, so I didn't like the awards of it in and of themselves, like the actual award presentation. To me, that was a low light. I felt like some performances, y'all are gonna hate this, but to me, of the performances I watched that I remember, Megan Thee Stallion for me was a low light. Not because it wasn't a good music video, and I appreciated that it was referencing. I was gonna say Biggie and Tupac and Dr. Dre's song, and then by proxy Mad Max. But to me, it was a low light because it was just a music video, right? And so it's like, we know that all of these things are pre-recorded, but I felt like the highlights were people that were like, okay, I can convince myself that you did this in one take. Whether or not you did or didn't, we won't know for sure. But there's something that's really like one take about it. Or if I know that you've been using multiple cameras, that you're doing something with it that you couldn't do in real life. So I see someone here say Anderson .Paak was amazing. He's playing instruments, he's live. Jennifer Hudson, if you know me, you know I'm not a huge Jennifer Hudson fan. That's not someone that I normally would be like, Miss Thing did that, but Miss Thing can sing. I just realized the AC is on. I hope it's not sounding crazy in here. Jennifer Hudson's performance I felt like was really beautiful and poignant. Her playing those 5 notes right when I was about to be like, sis, you've been playing this piano too long to not actually know how to play the piano. You just doing chords. Right when I felt like she was at that point, she got up and walked away and a real pianist came. I also love that her presentation, like obviously we know that once the camera went away, y'all are in there kiki and tra-la-la, but it suggested social distancing and it made it feel like they were acknowledging that, like, even though we came together to make this shmoney, that like as y'all sit at home, y'all should try to maybe keep your distance from each other. So I appreciated her. I also enjoyed Chloe and Halle, and I felt like Chloe and Halle, theirs was clearly pre-recorded, but they were able to synthesize, like they're like, we're gonna do a mashup, then let's really mash it up. And so it was like, yes, I felt, I could be wrong, I don't know, but it to me felt like they did the 2 numbers live and then they just mashed them up. Whereas I felt like Megan's to me just felt really packaged, you know what I mean? It just felt like a music video. And then that Beyonce wasn't performing with her, to me felt a little like, okay, whatever. So those were I guess I threw in some highlights as well. Another low light for me, well, it wasn't a light, it was in the middle, was Amanda Seales. I think Amanda Seales, I've seen her host something in person, and I felt like what she did in person is very compelling. I think that she's very intelligent, she's funny, she has a unique and sharp point of view, but I think that, and because so much of her work, like, there's a lot of sarcasm in it, and it just needs an audience. We needed to laugh. We needed to know, like, it's okay to laugh. You know, that's the joke, to just make it feel a little less, you know, it's like, I appreciated that they were giving her all those setups, and like, you know, the fact that she did all that in her home, as I understand it, I think it's super dope. Like I said, Miss Thing is talented. This is not a criticism of that, but it just felt a little flat for me. Where some people were saying it was bad, I'm like, I don't think it was bad, I just think it was a little flat. You know what I mean? But I appreciated that. So yeah, overall, I didn't see the whole thing. Too long, didn't read. But had I read it, I think I would have enjoyed the whole book. And I was happy that they decided to press on, because I think that at this stage in the game, if you have any kind of resources, no is no longer an option. It's just like, what's the now what, right? So what is it? It may look different than perhaps you originally envisioned or originally intended, but what are we going to do? You can't just keep being like, oh, well, Corona, because on my worst days, I'd be like, is coronavirus a phase, or is this just our lives? You know what I mean? Like, there are things that happen in the world where, you know, that's just now what it is. Like, it just is what it is. And then the babies will be like, what was the world like before? And we'll be like, remember in the old days when you could just blah, 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 and now you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? You used to be able to just let your kids run the street, smoke cigarettes while you're pregnant. Can't do that anymore. And we'd be like, in the old days, you just get in the grocery store, someone bump into you. They just be like, oh girl, you hug a stranger in the bar, be out all night, mask off, breathing in people's air. What a wild and crazy time. What a time to be alive. So it's just so funny, because Now without the or rather with this more subtle beat, it just looks very aggressive. So so yeah, so that was the BET Awards. Still speaking of black people, BET. Have y'all been following this Tisha Campbell? I mean, not Tisha Campbell. I just told her myself. This Jada Pinkett, August Alsina, Will Smith situation. I was gonna say foolishness, but I don't know that it's foolish. If you haven't been following, I could be so wrong. I don't have not a single source to quote right now. No receipts, nothing. Just going off of my memory from posts people sent me from the Shade Room. Apparently, August Alsina, remember him, was in a relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith that was blessed by Will Smith. That like I guess they consider themselves more life partners now, more than anything. And so they are like, we together, you know, probably all their assets are entangled. Because you forget that, like, I'm like a whole 10 years older than Jada Pinkett was when she got married. And Will was super successful when they got married, but they also built a lot of stuff together after. So I imagine that, like, either that prenup is ironclad and it's just cheaper to keep her, or there is no prenup and it's just cheaper to keep her and it's just easier for them to just figure this life out, you know, now. So, that being said, they apparently had like a relationship and an affair, and he went on The Breakfast Club, which I didn't watch. So again, this is all like third party information or fifth party me coming to y'all. But the children are gagged. And also, if you didn't know, for years there were rumors that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith were swingers, that they engaged in outside relationships. And the rumor, especially around Will, was very, I'm like my mother, I'm done. The rumor with Will was heavily shrouded in like gay rumors, that like they swung and that they were gay in their swinging. Again, none of this stuff has ever been confirmed by them, and to be quite honest, I've never heard it from anybody other than someone like me, who literally just is like, so-and-so told me, and so-and-so meaning somebody in my local neighborhood, not someone who has ever met them. So I don't know, this is all alleged. Everything here is alleged. I don't know how, except for these eyebrows are black. There's no allegation here. I don't know how true it is or isn't, but that's what they're saying. And you know, again, there was never things, and so you heard names, and so one of the names you would hear was that, at least one thing I heard for a long time, was that he and Dwayne Martin, you know, because they be taking these vacations and stuff. But then the gag is, allegedly, apparently, they was taking these vacations because they was busting down female hoes and had whole other girlfriends. And so I guess Jada was with the shits, and so she got August Alsina, but Tisha was not with the shits, and so they got divorced. And so Tisha now been subtweeting both of them, talking about all caps, will come out in the wash and everything will be revealed. And so I just thought it was kind of funny, because yeah, I actually really don't care, but I figured people want to talk about that. So I'm glad you like the cheekbones. Like I said, I'm just trying to give my man a little something when I come home, and well, when he comes home from my imagination. So yeah, so that's what was going on with that. I don't really have much else to say with that. I think that, like, it's their business. What I will say is, because I saw someone on my timeline was like, how much do you want from them? They've been such a public couple. I do feel like either be private, like, you know, it gets annoying to me sometimes that Beyonce don't talk about nothing. Like, I mean, she's become politicized, which is welcome and great, but like, as far as her personal life goes, you know, she don't talk about nothing. But then I'm like, the good thing about the fact that she doesn't talk about anything, that she literally says nothing about it, is that everything that we're seeing, or everything that we think is conjecture, right? Is our own imagination, or us taking someone else's interpretation or imagination and adopting it as our own, because we know we have literally no facts except that we know that y'all are married, y'all have 3 kids, and y'all show up at events together. Everything else that we talk about in debate, you know, and then they put it in a song, but then she still won't talk about it after the song. She just be like, it's in the music. Will and Jada, they sit around the red table and they want to give us all of these things. It's like, well, if you're going to give us some of the things, I feel like we need all the things so that we can contextualize them, right? Because context is so important for so many things, right? Like without the proper context, you might think that right now, I really am about to go out in the world looking like this, which is fine if I wanted to do that. It's my prerogative. But that's just not the truth. You need the context of knowing that this is a show that I do regularly every Wednesday at 7, and we just sit around and have a good time, you know, and there's context, and then you are able to then process the information appropriately. So I'm just like, if they want to talk about all of their range, you know, since they've invited us into their child rearing and this, that, and the third, we need to know that maybe being so open with our kids means that your child might introduce you to your side piece. Because the gag is, apparently Jaden introduced August to Will and Jada. Now let me ask you a question. If your partner cheated on you, does it matter how they met the person? Will that make it better or worse? And I don't mean like if you find out they cheated with your best friend, because obviously I think that, you know, that makes it worse because there's two hurts, right? You're hurt from your best friend and you're hurt from your partner. But like, would you care that your best friend introduced them to the side piece? Not knowing that the best friend was setting it up, but like it's your best friend's co-worker. You know what I mean? Does that matter? I don't know. You guys tell me. You can tell me now. You can put in the comments or by later. And so, as you all know, last month, it's crazy that June was last month. Can we just take a moment to sit in that? Can we take a moment to sit in the fact that last month was June? Yesterday was last month, but still. It was June, which means that it's July 1st, which means that fucking Saturday is the 4th of July, which means that we are at the halfway mark of the goddamn year, and we ain't been out the house except in the fucking snow. Oh wait, y'all be out here, mask off, eating, drinking, and having a good time. I don't know if I'll ever be able to enjoy leaving the house again. Tis what it is. So that is one thing to think about. But yeah, it's last month was LGBTQ month. It was also apparently Caribbean Heritage Month, Immigrant Month. It's too much happening in June. Y'all need to break it up. All of these things matter. It's Black Music Month. All of these things matter. Some of these things overlap. I think what a great time to be a gay Caribbean musician. Like June is your month. Like what a time to be alive. For you, great. I'm not Caribbean. You know what I mean? And so, for those of you who know, I did a month-long exploration of Black gay men in film and television, or depictions of Black gay characters in film and television. It was called #Black Gay and On Screen. You can check it out there. There's 30 characters, stories, performers to engage with and learn about, and to learn about my perspective on. It covers 35 plus years, starts in 1984. For those of you that didn't catch the gag, it was a sequential exploration. So we started in 84 and worked our way up until the current day. And then I also started reading some books about gay people, but we'll talk about that later. So the last show that I watched was a show, or the last show that I featured was a show called I May Destroy You, which was created by Michaela Cole. If you don't know Michaela Cole, she's a British, a Black British creator. She's an actor, writer, director, you know, just a creator. And it's a series that she created which was inspired by her own, she was sexually assaulted, and so it was inspired by her own sexual assault. And the series explores sexual assault from many different perspectives. Full disclosure, there may be some spoilers. I'm going to try my best not to spoil too much. I know that the show just came out in the States. We're only up to episode 4. If you watch it on BBC, which apparently you can watch on the Fire Stick, or of course if you live in a country not the United States of America, you may have access to BBC. They are well ahead of us. We're not going to finish this until late August. You guys are going to be finished in about 2 weeks. Y'all drop 2 episodes per week, and you started a couple weeks before us. We get 1 episode per week, and we just started. But it explores sexual assault from a very different perspective. Taylor just said it's so good, very stressful, a little triggering. I'll say very stressful, very triggering, depending on your own experiences. And you know what's so interesting about triggering, right, is that, at least in my experience, it's not like for like, right? So it's not always like, oh, I was hit by a yellow bus, so I see someone get hit by a yellow bus and I'm triggered. It could be like, wow, that's a yellow Mercedes riding down the street, and it just brought up me remembering being hit by a yellow bus. You know what I mean? And it didn't hit anybody, but it just brought something up. And so there's a gay character on there. His name is Kwame, no last name at this time. And they do a really good job of an interesting character arc with him. I was going to go more in depth, but I want to wait till y'all see it, and I think I should give y'all at least a week. Although ain't nothing else on TV, so I might as well just watch it now. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think that what I'm enjoying most about it, and what I think that Michaela is doing so masterfully, and has always done masterfully, but you really get to see it with this, is that she's not afraid of humor, but she also isn't using it as an escape, which is something that a lot of us can be guilty of, right? Like, depending on your own personal style or affect, you may look at humor as a reason, as your way out of things, right? Like when it gets hot, make a joke. It's me, I'm people. But I enjoy that she does not use it explicitly to get out of the tough things in the realm of the show. Some of the characters, that is how they use humor, but I think that the show is balanced with allowing us to sit in what's uncomfortable when we need to just sit in what's uncomfortable, and then when the characters want to take a break, you know. I will say this, it is a very it's a show you have to watch. I don't think this is something that you should put on and, you know, it's in the background while you paint your nails or whatever. Partly because there's some subtle things. It's like I said, I think it's very massively created, so there's a lot of things happening with how things are shot that may not have been said. They also speak with Black British accents, London accents, so you have to listen carefully for it to make sure you understand everything, allow it, in it. And it is heavy subject matter, so I don't recommend being like, oh, I'm gonna just wait to binge the whole thing. Like, I can't imagine. I've only seen 4 episodes, and like, for example, this week's episode, or the most recent episode, I watched it by itself. It's just a 30-minute episode, and I was like, woo, Chile, I need a break after this. I could not imagine jumping in. It was funny, I had prematurely been like, oh, this could have been they could have done this like how Ryan Murphy do the crime stories, where, like, you know, why we gotta have 12 episodes? This could have been like 3 episodes that were 2 hours each. And I'm like, no, this needed the space. Let me just let people do their fucking job and let them do what they know how to do. So I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I think that they are touching on things that we don't see a lot. And they have a Black gay character. And, you know, what's interesting about, like, the Black British gay experience, I'm not British, but I did live there for a little bit. And what's interesting about the Black gay British experience, in my experience, is that, you know, it's a unique intersection, because I think on the one hand, by and large, the UK is a little more progressive than the US around sexuality as a country. You know what I mean? Like, they legalized gay marriage before we did, blah, 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 generally speaking. However, the Africans and the West Indians, you know, which most Black British people have a direct connection to West Africa or the Caribbean, are not, you know, they're more conservative than we are, or as conservative or more. So they navigate this weird intersection, because it's like, on the one hand, the greater society in which they live maybe is a little more freeing than what I've known or what we've known, but then on the other hand, the specific communities in which they live can be a little more complicated, we'll say. So I just think it's interesting to watch, but I think you should do it. Also, people said Sex Education, which I haven't really gotten into. I watched like 1 episode. Nothing against it. I just didn't really spend a lot of time with it. That is some more Black British stuff. But the thing about this show is that they're in a decidedly Black world. You know, like, most of the characters are Black and all of that stuff. So yeah, so I think you guys should watch it. I think it's definitely worth watching. A word from our sponsors. See, my days are gone without you, and I heard it while of me. What are those lyrics? I don't even know those lyrics. And my heart can take no more. Keep on running back for you. So yeah, but I've enjoyed that show. So there's nothing else on TV. Like TV is so done, except something coming that I'm excited about. Full disclosure, I got friends on the show, friends that worked on the show, but the friends are super talented. So this is not. It's biased in that they're my friends, but with reason. P-Valley on Stars. I'm very excited and interested to see what that is going to be. We get a black queer character on there. He's all up in there. Uncle Clifford, played by the talented Nico Annan. So, you know, adding to the canon. And, like, the one thing, like, my biggest takeaway from Black A on screen, I guess we could just talk about this all day. My biggest takeaway from Black A and on screen was there's so much work to be done. There's so far to go. There's so much that we need to do. But for me, what was encouraging was knowing that, and this is why I wanted to share it with you guys in a timeline, was knowing that there's progress. That, like, at least when we line it up, this has pretty much been, like, you know, they talk about flattening the curve. Blah. But, like, while maybe I would have loved the trajectory to be like, bing, bing, you know what I mean? It's probably more like this. You know what I mean? If this is flat, look at my, people make fun of my hands because they can't really get flat. But if this is flat, can y'all hands do that? People tell me that's weird. Is that weird? But they are more, you can usually see it's more weird when I go like that. But anyway, so this is flat. I would love for it to have just been like that, like we were here, we were there, or even like this. It's probably like this, and depending on which network you're watching me on, it looks reversed. But this is the bottom, this is the top. And it at least was moving forward. That there was like pretty much consistently some movement. Each year going on, we're seeing things change. And like right now, we're getting a lot of stuff. And I just hope that it's not trendy, because my biggest fear is that all of this shit right now is just a fucking money grab, and it's just gonna be like, okay, y'all had y'all moment in 2020 will go down in history as like Black Lives Matter, and then next year to be like Asian Lives Matter and Black Lives, and it won't be like, okay, so since we've elevated black folk, now we're moving on to fixing the problems and challenges that Asian people experience. It'll just be like, no, we placated y'all for a little bit, but none of those things stuck, so now we're just gonna create something new and false and fake. Or not something new, false and fake, but that was all false and fake, and now we're just going to be doing whatever we need to do to keep these people at bay, and then, you know, just keep spinning the color wheel, and when your number comes up, we act like we care. That's my fear, but I hope that it is completely unfounded and, you know, not what actually happens. So, that being said, there's been progress. There's a lot of shows out there with it, but that was exciting for me to see in the continuum. So we'll see what's coming, you know. And then I got a few tricks up my sleeve. So she said close enough about these lyrics. So yeah, so that is what's coming. So yeah, P-Valley, it comes on Stars. It starts on July 12th. It's about strippers in, I think they're Mississippi or Memphis, which are two very different places, but they both are south and they start with an M. But you guys should check that out. Howard University, all up and through there. Surprise, surprise to no one. So that's what's really, I'm excited about that show. That's pretty much it that I'm excited about. Not because I'm not excited about things, but I just don't know what else is coming down the pike. The other thing, I wanted to put some blush on, but I don't really have a blush brush. We're gonna work it out. The other thing that I'm excited about, no, I'm not excited about that also. Like I said, I come from the theater world, and I just want to talk to the theater people out there for a minute, because the theater folks are getting in on the, you know, and I work from there. Full disclosure, if I am your consultant, if you think that I'm somebody's consultant, all these thoughts are my own. I am not releasing any sensitive information. These are just my private thoughts. They have nothing to do with where I cut my check. Or any person or organization that works with me. I'm not representing them at this time. I'm very disappointed. So like I said, I was really excited to see that the BET Awards created something that was different, you know, unprecedented and imperfect, but was a valiant effort and a clear attempt to not just make the best of a situation. I think that is like completely corny language, but that they were determined to respond to the world and times in which we live. That they were not going to simply say, and I'm sure it was related to money, but who the fuck cares? But that they were committed to saying, you know what, we're going to try to figure out how to make this work. I appreciate that. The American theater, especially these nonprofit theaters that are sending me emails every other day asking for money because they can't pay their bills because they haven't been able to produce shows, and then they just tell me to log into Zoom and watch some very talented actors read plays that range from not good to very good, but that all seem to have been produced a long time ago and already have had full productions. That doesn't work for me 90 days into quarantine. That was cute in March, April, I even give you May. But now that it's July and even in June, y'all have had too much time to figure something out, and that, like, what is a creative mind if it cannot respond to the world around it? What is a creative mind if it cannot think about something other than that which already has existed? Like the sentimentality, and this is why I have had a challenge with working for and at theaters for a while, was that I think that, like, there are tons of talented people who are on the stages, and I think that's probably where the most talent lives, to be honest, on the stage. And then you have all these people, these artistic directors, these producers, who just are wealthy and maybe did something interesting at some point, but have stopped trying. That, like, there's so many things, and if you need ideas, call me, I can help you out, I promise. I'm like, I'll give you a good deal. But it's just like, I don't care right now if everything is perfect. I actually would much rather see shows that just didn't work, but that were trying to respond. Because what if the world, first of all, what's never going to happen is that the world is going to go back to the way it was. This shit just is not. Humanity is forever changed. Good, bad, indifferent, or otherwise. Humanity is changed forever. It is what it is. It happens. Shit changes. The telephone's invented, the world has changed. Can't go back. The internet's invented, the world's changed. Can't go back. You know what I mean? Like, these things happen. HIV happens, you can't change it. The world, we can change it, hopefully. We can eradicate these diseases and try to emerge better for it, but it's going to be different. And that any person that's just simply waiting for the phone call to be like, all clear, let's just go back to doing what we've been doing, is a fool, and, is a fool. It's point blank, period. And so it's like, be imperfect, be messy. This is the time to be mixy, to be messy, to do some shit, and for us to be like, child, that was a mess. But then when somebody, 40 years from now does Corona Gay and on screen, and they do a timeline, you can see, oh wow, but when they tried that thing in 2020, that's really the groundwork for this next thing. But y'all simply just, like, I think it's so crazy that I'm getting a fucking notification, a media alert, that Dustin Hoffman is going into a production of Our Town. Like, first of all, who's sending out press releases about new plays opening when they just said that Broadway is not opening until no one knows when Broadway's opening. The press release did not say when Broadway was opening, but they said it's definitely not going to happen anytime in 2020. So the earliest we're looking at is January 1st, right? So you tell me that after being closed for 9 months, what I have to look forward to is a production of Dustin Hoffman's old ass in Our Town's old ass, like, and nothing against Dustin Hoffman or being old, though it's fine to be both of those things, and even at the same time, but, like, are you telling me that that's what you have to fucking offer me? That, like, your solution to the fact that come January or spring 2021, when you want me to go sit in the fucking Corona Petri box, the thing you have to offer me is that I can just watch this play that already existed 100 years. You ain't got nothing to say about what just happened for the last year. That, like, you're telling me that all of these companies that are saying you need to donate to us because we have a staff that we need to pay, which is very real. And I believe that those people should be supported as best as we can and that those jobs should be protected. But similarly, or in kind, they're also not working on anything right now. Hello, if you are at a regional theater and you're in the marketing department, what are you marketing right now? Not a show. So instead of sending me an email asking for that money, why don't you maybe market something interesting? I don't know. Just a thought. I could be wrong. But it's just, things that but you know what? Not just going to be a hater. I saw that the Wilma Theater in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they are reimagining what their theater can look like, and they're creating a structure. Their seating structure is going to look like the Globe, but it's basically going to just be a bunch of private boxes that will be separated from each other by fixed partitions, but will be open to the stage so you can watch the show. I have mixed feelings about that, but like in terms of the efficacy, but I welcome the thinking. I welcome the fact that they're saying, you know what, we have to think beyond just saying that, like, oh, we'll just stay closed until they tell us we can sell at 100% again. That they're thinking through it. It's like the first idea sometimes is the best idea. Everyone's not me though. Their first idea is not always the best idea, so they have to think through things. And so I'm not mad about that. Christy said, but what about their staff? Are you repeating what I said, or are you asking me again? I'm a little unclear. But because I just, like I said, I'm like, what are y'all working on? What are you doing? I feel like there's an opportunity here that the American theater is missing, and I think that it's because the American theater, and this has nothing to do with the racial politics in that conversation. That's not what we're talking about right now. I'm just talking about the industry structures overall for all people of all colors, is full of hubris and has its head up its ass and doesn't recognize that, like, it has never recognized this, or I'm not saying never, but has not for years. They have not recognized that art is essential. Societies will always have art and creativity forever. That's something I do think that will always exist, right? Like, you need art. I just think that that is a part of humanity, right? Like, I would challenge Maslow to rethink his pyramid, and that I think that right up there with, like, it's like maybe food, shelter, like physical safety. The next thing I think would be like creative expression, and not just for us to do it because everyone doesn't always do it, but to even just engage with it, right? Is why you had storytellers, you had griots in West Africa, you had Homer in Roman Egypt, Roman Egypt, wherever the hell that he was, Greece, and people from all over the world, and whose names I'll never know because some white man ripped up the book, but that carried it or killed the person whose mind and heart it was emblazoned in. That is essential. How we encounter their work and that creativity will continue to evolve. And American theater is not grandfathered into humanity. It is something that existed for a moment in time, and if it does not prove itself to be necessary, as we have seen over the last 3 months, what I've gotten a lot of text messages that have ranged from, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm sad and having a hard time. Hey, this. And except for the people who get their checks from it, and even then they just like, oh, I'm on unemployment, or I'm figuring out how to make the money work. What I have not heard is somebody saying, oh my God, I cannot go on with life because the American theater does not exist and I have nowhere to go subscribe to a 6-play package. It's not that. We are watching 90 Day Fiancé. We are watching the BET Awards, try to figure that out. We're watching random fools on Instagram. We're watching famous fools on Instagram. We are hanging out with our family and friends and talking to people that we haven't talked to, and on FaceTime, and whoever else has a new platform and a new app. Like, people are going to figure out a way. Have you learned nothing from the symphony and the opera, honey? You are not as essential as you think, and all the Geffens in the world can leave you all the fucking money in the world. But at the end of the day, if people don't want to see your show, they're not going to come. And that's that. Point blank, period. That's what I got to say on that, because I'm getting upset and I don't even know why, because that's not even what I set out to do here today. Christy asked, like the ushers and shit, what about their staff? I mean, that's the same thing I think every time I drive across the Triborough Bridge, and now they don't have a toll booth. It is just some thing in the sky that just takes your information, and whether that's your Easy Pass or a picture of your license plate. And I'm like, well, what about the toll booth worker? Or when I go to buy a Metro card, and I remember growing up as a kid, they came and spoke at Career Day, the people who worked at the station booth. What about them? I think about them. I don't have a solution per se. I also don't work in HR and all of that. I think it's something to consider. And I also think that maybe this is a moment, especially in the theater, I just had a thought. This is a real new thought. One of the things that makes the theater unique, right, is that I feel like a lot of that staff of ushers, and I'm not going to say makes the theater unique, but I don't know that this is necessarily the same at the Barclays Center, for example, that in the theater you have a lot of people who got master's degrees who are ushers. Whether it's because they're retirees and so they just usher because they want to see the show for cheap, or because they're waiting for their moment to have themselves on the stage, have their work on the stage, or otherwise engage with being on the stage. And so they're just doing it to make ends meet. That maybe this would have been a great moment to check in with them, because maybe these motherfuckers know a little something about how to make something out of nothing more than the people who sit at the top and collect $700,000 checks. Because for those of you who don't know, the people that lead these nonprofit arts organizations in New York City, that's the kind of money they're pulling in. The white organizations, not the black ones, but the white ones, they're pulling in $500,000 cash plus contributions to the IRA, expense accounts, et cetera, all under the guise of running a nonprofit, while they pay actors $500 a week. I said it, called it out, called a thing, let's talk about it. That's the shit that nobody wants to talk about. And again, that ain't got nothing to do, it has to do with color in that you won't find this at the black organizations because the black organizations don't have that kind of money, and they really don't let black people lead the organizations that kind of way. But that's what's happening. So when you send me an email asking me, can I donate so that y'all can pay the marketing director to send me this email, asking them to get paid so that they can send this email to ask me to get paid so that they can send this email because I don't know what you're doing, or so that they can tell me to log into Zoom to watch somebody sit in front of a green screen image and read a play that was never intended to be simply read, and definitely not, read over a screen. Versus, I don't know, maybe saying, hey, can you help us work with these artists who are creating something specifically for this because, they're out of work too. I just want y'all to know that. I forgot where I was going with that point. And then Christy said, a lot of them are also independently wealthy. A lot of them are independently wealthy, but a lot of them have also made wealth from the industry and then try to make you think that they're independently wealthy, right? Like, so that is, especially the ones who've been in the game for a while. I'm not naming names, I'm not drunk. Maybe we'll do another one after hours. I only got half a little bonnet on, and maybe that's what this is, because I'm giving you Eartha Kitt, so we talking about the theater. You know what I mean? And shout out to Eartha Kitt, because, Miss Thing is fabulous and fierce, and we know that, but Miss Thing was also a pariah for a long time, and she was blackballed for her political beliefs, and she spoke out about what she felt was wrong with the war in Vietnam. So shout out to her. We speak your name. We speak your name. So yeah, so that's what I got to say about that. That, like, everybody, when this whole thing started, I don't know if you guys remember, there was that whole meme going, not that whole meme, but there were memes going around that are like, if you don't leave from this with the book that you were planning to write, with the play or whatever, you didn't lack time, you lacked discipline. First of all, I said it before, I said it again, that's bullshit, because unless all of your shit is taken care of, and so this literally was just like, oh, it's the time to pause because I know that my money's still coming in and my bills are taken care of and my job is secure and I just kicked the camera and my family is, what they are. Everybody's good. I have childcare, and all of that. Okay, sure, then yeah, you have no reason to not write a book. But if that's not the case, if you have to deal with taking care of a kid that you didn't have to take care of 24 hours a day before, that you now take care of 24 hours, if you don't have income, if you're not sure that your company's going to be one that makes it through, or that your job makes it through, with the company makes it through, I don't know that frees you up. For some people, that does inspire them to write the play, right? That is inspirational for them. And then for some people, that's very disorienting. It's very jarring. If your neighbor died from COVID, if your mama died from COVID, if you are struggling with COVID, it's going to be a little harder to write a play. So I'm not saying that. But what I do think is true is that these organizations, these institutions, if you emerge from this the same, then you want to be racist, you want to be lame, and you are basically saying that we know we're going to die, and so we're just counting down the days, and this is the beginning of the end. Because there's no way that you can want to, in any meaningful way, want to do better and still just be simply doing the same fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like, because now it's been called out explicitly. You've had, like, my thing is that if something like this doesn't inspire you as an organization to make a bold move, there's nothing that will. There's nothing that will. If for no other reason that, like, the craziest thing you do, if it doesn't work out, you simply just be like, child, it was the corona talking. Like, well, I don't know why we produced that play on Zoom where we had them doing, not giving you my ideas unless you want to pay for them. I'm also done giving y'all shit for free, other than impetus. If y'all are my peoples, we can talk on the sideline. My independent artists, my black folks, we can talk on the sideline about it. But the institutions, it comes with a fee, and we can talk about what that fee is. But it's like, if this doesn't inspire you to do that, there's nothing that will, because you have financial incentive, i.e., you're not making no money any goddamn way. You have emotional incentive, like this is what the people are feeling, and you have creative incentive, because what a great time to try something different. So if this doesn't inspire you to take that bold leap, if this doesn't inspire you to hire to produce plays by playwrights who didn't go to Yale, if this doesn't inspire you to do a black play, a black classic play that wasn't written by August Wilson or Lorraine Hansberry, if this, because I don't know if y'all knew this, but black folk was writing plays forever, and they have been published and printed and are available for you to review them. And so if you want to produce an old black play, and I did see, I don't know if it was MTC or Signature, but I did see one of them is doing an Alice Childress play, so shout out to them. But I'm not gonna say shout out to them. I'm done congratulating people for being mediocre, but I'm gonna acknowledge that that's happening. If this doesn't inspire you to do it, it's just not gonna happen, and we know that it's not gonna happen. And then the other thing is, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say about that and pretty much anything. The other thing is, y'all gotta stop lying to yourselves and to the funders and to your, and ain't the audiences, and to your artists about who you serve. If your theater is in the middle of nowhere in a community that is only full of white people, stop telling these funders that you need a grant to help diversify your audience. You don't need a grant to help diversify your audience. You need to just do the plays for the people that want to come see them, and that's okay. And let the people that are actually serving black audiences, or whatever you've defined as diversity, get the resources to serve them. Because guess what? I'm not coming to insert small town in the middle of nowhere to see your second-rate production of, I'm not even called second-rate, that's nasty for no reason. I'm not going to wherever to see your production of insert black play when I live in New York City or DC or Baltimore or Atlanta or LA, when I can go see whatever I want to see, or should be, or feel like I don't travel for these kind of things, because there's so many options in my community. Resource those people there. Now, if there are black people in that community who are saying, we want to see this and we're requesting it, that's a different conversation. But I know for a lot of y'all, some of y'all, because I've worked there or worked with people similar, work with organizations similar, that ain't the case. Y'all selling a lie that your audience, your show is for all people, even though you got in the name a dead white man. I'm done. I just want to thank y'all. This went totally left, and I'm totally fine with it because I'm left-handed. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, check out people. Well, we'll talk about PVLA again, I guess, before it comes, because there'll be another show before it comes out. Also, check out the I May Destroy You. I think that's really interesting. To watch that, because next week I will spoil the first 4 episodes. I won't spoil the 5th episode because that will have just come out. But I'm telling you now, I'm going to spoil the first 4 episodes next week. If you haven't already, please check out Black, Gay, and On Screen. # Black, Gay, and On Screen. I don't have any more posts on that, but we're not done with that. And yeah, just continue to be the fabulous audience that you guys have always been. I really appreciate it. Like I said, without you guys, this is even just rehearsal. This is just me being weird if none of you ever show up. So the fact that, the one of you, 3,000 of you, show up and watch is really exciting to me. Tell your friends. And also, if you want the pins, this is the last week that we'll be doing the pre-sale. It's not a pre-order. The pins exist. You'll get them in 7 to 10 business days, maybe even sooner. But this is a pin that celebrates the intersection of black, gay identity. Maybe you thought because it came out in June, because June is over, that I was over it, but I'm not. So you can DM me at a promotional price that will expire soon. Yeah, the promotional price expires this week. The next time we come together, which is Wednesdays at 7 p.m., they'll be at a higher price, and that's that. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for having fun with me, because this was fun for me. I think this beat actually turned out pretty decent. I didn't even have to throw on no wig. You already saw the hair. I guess I probably should have started like this. Or actually, no, maybe that's how we'll end it. Yeah, that's how we'll do. I'm going to bed now. We have the cognac on the nightstand, and I'm just sitting here and saying, what song am I singing? I'm just a girl who likes the thought of being alone. I need to be loved and held close. I need a man who's gonna treat me right. I need someone to be with me every night. Ooh, that was ugly. So I gotta find me a man. All right. Good night. Thank you all. Choose joy, because that's all we have. I thank you so much for choosing to spend a little time with me. See you soon. Bye. So I gotta find me a man with a sensitive eyes, one who understands love is stronger than pride. Know what I'm searching for, and I know it's gotta be wonderful. Don't you know I am too beautiful to settle for less, nothing less. Oh, know what I'm looking for.